Jaishankar, India's foreign minister, had sharp words for you when asked about sort of your suggestion that maybe we should have a less thin skin. That was a completely different context. He might well say that to you today. Why do you have such a thin skin about it?
No. Let me stress that Mr. Jaishankar's response had nothing to do with what I was commenting on. And that's the disingenuousness and, frankly, the lack of homework in our media when these things happen. What happened was that Mr. Jaishankar addressed a Bharatiya Janata Party Yuva Morcha gathering at Cubbon Park in Bangalore and made some, frankly, intemperate statements that were clearly designed for the audience he was speaking to about the West's habit, allegedly, of making comments on us and our readiness to make comments back on them and so on, which came across embarrassing. So the next morning, Monday morning, in Parliament, as I stepped out of the Lok Sabha, I was asked by the cameraman, what did I think of this particular statement by Mr. Jaishankar? And I said, frankly, I think he should cool it. But when he was asked about this later, he referred to the Khalistanis pulling down the flag outside the Indian High Commission in London, making his blood boil, which very frankly had made my blood boil as well. And I'd already made a negative comment about that earlier, saying it was unacceptable. So, for Mr. Jaishankar to use that episode when that was not what I was talking about was disingenuous in the extreme. He knows perfectly well what I was saying, that when you say these inflammatory comments to a youth group in Bangalore, don't think it's going to stay in the Yuva Morcha's ears. It gets out in the media, it's reported nationally and internationally, and there are adverse comments as to why this is being said about foreign countries who, in fact, by and large, have exercised considerable diplomatic restraint in their comments on domestic developments in India. So when I said cool it, I meant cool it in that sense, and not about your blood boiling when the flag came down, because obviously for me too, as an Indian, I was outraged when the flag was pulled down, and I said so at the time, the very same day. And I would say that all Indians would feel the same way about that. So I think.
So what did you want him to cool it about?
I don't want him to say things like the West has this silly habit of commenting on our country, and we are going to give it back to them in the same kind of words. I don't remember the exact words, but you can Google Jaishankar, Cubbon Park, Bangalore, and Yuva Morcha.
Yeah. I remember what he said. He basically implied Western hypocrisy and said that while the West, is very quick to judge us, they're not so quick to receive that judgment. And he made that point. And isn't that point valid?
No, wait a minute. You're mixing that up with another statement of his, which I did defend, which was a statement he made saying that Europe must get out of the habit of seeing Europe's problems as the world's problems, but not seeing the world's problems as Europe's problems. That is the double standard he objected to. And there, I was asked in an international forum at the Resina Dialogue on a panel that was entirely full of Europeans by a European moderator about that comment. And I defended Jaishankar, explaining that what he was trying to say in terms of double standards. But that is different from his comment to the Yuva Morcha, which was not about double standards at all. It was, in my view, intemperate. And the thing is that he's a very seasoned diplomat. I've known him for years. He's been our ambassador in Singapore, China, and Washington under UPA rule. So it's not as if this is a stranger or a political opponent throughout. He has now acquired a political identity, and I can understand his pandering to his political constituency. But the truth is that it's not necessarily what he would have done when he was an ambassador serving India's national interests in diplomacy.